I am joined by Keith Crossley, author of State Within Light, a book that gets brutally honest about what it means to live with awareness in a world built on distraction. Keith's work blends psychology, spirituality, real-world grit. It challenges the ego instead of catering to it. So he joins me right now. You know, what you and I just spoke about, I'd love to pick up on, and that is you made this comment to me about, and I think what psilocybin journey number 2 did for me is take away, like I said to Elon, take away the barriers, take away all the things that could obscure your view of what ails you, right? Of those things that are troubling you. You said, basically, you know, what we're doing, the work that we're doing is taking a flashlight to the subconscious closet. You're opening up the closet, all the things that are hidden inside you, and you're looking in there and it's like, oh, ooh, ooh, all that stuff. And when you do the work, you just open up and you got to, you know, all you do is see an empty closet and you're out of there. But tell me about or tell people about what you think that psilocybin journey number 2 did. And what work is there for me and maybe others who are listening along and can relate to do?
The real work is done in the dark. It's not done in the light. The things that are easy for us to face, the things that are easy for us to feel are not where the actual healing lies. So if you think about what the subconscious is, we have basically hidden away from parts of ourselves truths that were painful to accept, feelings that were painful to feel, experiences that we never wanted to happen again. And the ego kind of tucks them back there in that little closet, to use your terminology. And so the healing process is simply saying, I'm tired of running from all of my pain. I'm tired of all of these self-sabotaging behaviors that I do, and I can't fully understand why. I'm going to go into this closet with the flashlight and start to see where the skeletons are, which is a very scary process. But ultimately, what therapy should do and what a psilocybin journey should do is take you into that darkness in a healthy, appropriate way, show you what's there that you need to look at. And the beauty of it is that darkness can only exist in the absence of light. It hides in the shadows. That's where pain lives. And so whenever we root those things out and expose them to the light in a healthy way, that it's no longer dark anymore. And so we no longer need to hide ourselves from reality by placing things in the subconscious. So psilocybin is just one tool to remove or temporarily remove the barrier between conscious and subconscious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, and I say to people, if you want to look into the psilocybin journey, do it. You know, look into it. It is, you know, if you had asked me a day or two after psilocybin journey number 1, do it, I'd say everyone must. And I think I did. I said, everyone's got to do this. And then I did number 2. And if you asked me the next day after number 2, I would have said, don't do it. Oh my God, it's too much. But then a couple days go by and you realize, wow, it opened the closet and it showed all the things in there that I don't want out. And those things are what keep you doing the same thing over and over again, like a one-legged duck swimming, you know, in a pond. So it actually was very helpful, and it does meet that definition of, you know, you get the journey you need, not the one you want. There are other ways, I'm sure. So, you know, everyone is on their own in doing their own research and seeing if it matches them. But one thing for sure is, you know, your chapters on the ego are really, really fascinating to me. And what you said at the beginning was ego equals the voice in your head. That's it. Everybody can relate to that. That voice in your head. Oh, hey, Netflix is taking, 16 podcasts. They're taking 16 podcasts. They're going to platform them. They're going to be huge. They're going to be amazing. The first thing is, they won't take mine. What is that? That's the negative
ego.
voice.
Yeah, the ego is basically the protective voice that all of us develop over time to insulate us from mental and emotional pain. So if you think about the brain's primary function is survival. And so the best way that it helps to protect us is through fear. So it's protecting us from physically dying. But the ego is responsible for protecting us from mental and emotional pain. The paradox, though, is that the more we try to protect ourselves against mental and emotional pain, the more we have to live in protection and fear, which is its own version of suffering. So to transcend our ego or go beyond our ego, it's recognizing that that voice, although what it's telling us feels real and it feels true, it's ultimately a construct that is only real because we believe it to be true. But the moment we start second guessing those stories, going, I've told myself this about myself my entire life. What if that's actually not true? What if that actually just came from a wound that I never resolved from 20 years ago? Now, all of a sudden, we are taking what feels like behavior that makes no rational, logical sense in the form of self sabotage and going, oh, it actually does make sense because my ego's been using it to protect me from pain that I felt way back when. And it doesn't want me to feel that again. But yet, in its attempt to protect me, it's actually self sabotaging everything that I care about. So it's quite simply learning that the voice that we hear in our heads is actually not us. And the way that we know that is because we are the one who can observe the voice. So, in the same way that if I am looking at a TV, I don't mistake the TV as who I am. Yet we mistake, and most of humanity mistakes the voice in our head as who we are when we are the awareness that can observe the voice.
Our behaviors sort of just feed that original. It's a what would be called a feedback loop, right? Our behaviors sort of we go out and do things that are not, in line with our true nature to feed that negative voice, so we can say, you see, there you go, and everybody's affirming each other in this circle. What psilocybin does. What's interesting is it takes you over the barrier into a higher state, and it opens new neural pathways. It is our job then to walk those pathways, because really we're just using the same neural pathways most of the time, and they're mostly negative. Mostly the information and the conversations in my head are negative, and that's probably true with 80% of people, if not more.
100%. And I'll give you one example. If someone has a deep-seated fear of abandonment, what'll happen is they'll get close to somebody, and that feels amazing initially. But then they feel vulnerable, which makes them realize they're not protecting themselves. So then the ego starts to tell stories. You're not safe. You're going to get hurt. This is what happens to you all the time. So then we create arguments or criticize and create distance in the relationship. And then temporarily the ego goes, I feel safer because now I'm away from this vulnerability. But then what's happened is we've pushed our partner away. So they start to pull away out of self-protection. And now we've created the very abandonment that we say we want to avoid.
Oh.
So now I've literally self-fulfilled prophecy, this whole thing creating abandonment. So then I go into shame knowing that I caused it. And then the following stages are I want reconciliation. So I apologize to my partner. Don't leave me. I'm so sorry. Then we move into reconnection. And then the process starts all over again because we've never dealt with that core wound of abandonment. So every self-sabotaging behavior is really revealing that there's an unconscious wound that you have not dealt with, and you need this protection pattern to help you avoid it.
So what can people do if their, psilocybin journey sounds like too much, feels like too much for them? What can they do if this applies to their life?
What I would recommend is if you're going to go see a therapist, the first thing you say in that session is, I am ready to face and feel everything that I am running from. I know it's going to be scary. I know it's going to be hard, but I want you to help me to dig to the roots of the things that I am most afraid to see and most afraid to accept. Because those are always showing you the pathway to your freedom, but you have to face it. That's why we use the terminology facing our demons. Whatever it is that you are most afraid to face and to feel is showing you the exact place where you're going to find the freedom and the peace that you're looking for, but you're going to have to work for it.
But how many people can articulate that?
You don't need to be able to articulate it. You need to go to your therapist and say, I'm ready to do the work. Help me to dig in.
Help me to dig in. Help me to find it, because maybe it's just been happening for so long in life, you don't even know that certain events from your past might have led to the one thing that, you don't know the connect the dots.
At the end of the day, the way I describe it is there's ultimately a feeling that you are afraid of. So we think it's the events themselves that cause the problem, but we're not actually afraid of an event. We're afraid of how that event made us feel. So whenever we go into therapy and we're kind of rummaging around in the past, all of those stories are triggering physiological sensations. They're triggering feelings within us. That feeling of what it felt like to be alone or to be rejected or to be disapproved of. So ultimately, we have to learn how to feel the full range of human emotion again. And the way that we do that is by willingly going into that discomfort. You could think of it like exposure therapy. I'm learning how to sit with and tolerate all of the very feelings that I have spent my entire life distracting myself from, numbing myself from, running from. So, healing is simply the process of willingly feeling and facing whatever it is that you are running from.
And you and I also talked this morning about meditation, which is just I'm going to start, really committing to. I made the joke that it's like meditation is like yoga, right? People are like, yeah, I don't do yoga because I'm not really that limber. Well, that's the whole point of doing yoga. I mean, your meditation is going to the mental gymnasium. It's going to the workout room for your brain, just like you do your body, right? And your brain is constantly being hijacked by the voice in your head, by the ego. It's taking you to these narratives that are eating you alive, right? So meditation is just simply working out. It's working out, going to, okay, my mind is going off on this direction, whoop, without judging it or without getting mad or frustrated. Just pull it back to the center here and listen to the whatever's present. Could be the breeze in the trees, could be a chirping bird, could be a little music that you have playing in some headphones, or back to the center. And then, of course, you'll drift away again. It's just the exercise of getting back to the middle. And is the ego dead in the present?
The ego cannot exist in the present because if you are 100% present, there's no need for this inner protector, this, voice in your head that's constantly trying to control everything and analyze everything, predict what's going to happen. And when you are 100% present, there is no need for that inner protector anymore. So presence is literally, by definition, the absence of ego. You are no longer living in your head and you are actually living in your life.
That's it. Well, that's where we are. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Keith. I'd like to see you tomorrow, the next day, and also on the weekend. What a great guy. Keith Crossley, State Within Light. I'm ripping through this book. It's so good. I can't recommend it enough. Thanks a million. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Billy. See you soon.
Yeah, soon. Definitely.